It's Enrico Palazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Palazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls and dogs of all ages. Welcome to our weekly exploration of the Prospects Power Hour here on the Palazzo Prospecting. Jesus.
Nailed it.
Yes, absolutely.
Take 2. 3,
Podcasting
2, 1,
Hour.
action.
Yeah, there we go. Well, except that, we're live, so I guess I kind of screwed that up. But tonight, I'm here with my man, Robbie Baseball, and we are going to talk about the fallout and the end result of the 2025 draft. We did a show already, kind of talking about where guys went, but now they have either signed or not signed, and we can discuss all of that fun stuff. So, Robbie, how are you tonight?
I am swellish, Ben.
Swell-ish.
Swellish. I'm now on vacation for the next week, and I've got so much vehicle stuff to do because I'm a volunteer for Old Mopar Fest in New Hamburg, Ontario, Canada, and it runs this weekend. And we have secured DeBoss Garage as our headliner for this year, and I am their handler. So anything that those YouTubers need, I'm there for them. Just like we are there for the listener.
I was just going to say that's a Wander Franco reference right there.
Oh, whoa, easy. So I've come out of my cave for tonight just so that I can very briefly, hopefully, get back to doing any voluntary stuff that I need to do when we're all finished up. So I'm good. It is going to be a long, hard week, but it is going to be fun. And hopefully at the end of it, we have great weather and a great event. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just kind of lead us off because my week has not been so great. And I want to thank some of our Palazzo community because, they reached out and showed that, hey, we're not just a couple of idiots talking baseball here. There are people who actually really genuinely care about one another on this, on our Discord, on our Palazzo network. And that's a neat thing to have. This week, abruptly, I lost my job on Wednesday. They let me know on Wednesday that they were closing my paper down. No notice. Immediately lost health care or health insurance. Immediately lost all that stuff right away, and with no plan as to what was coming next. And so, thankfully, I worked with my publisher, and the two of us worked together. He did a lot of the legwork, but I fielded a lot of calls and directed him his way from people who were interested in buying our paper. And we now, I believe, are going to be in a good place by the end of this week. But I will tell you, I found out, Robbie, I do not ever want to be a celebrity. I had 17 interview requests on Thursday and Friday.
Wow.
I gave one interview. So, but I had 17 requests. I had more than 100 text messages and Facebook private messages just in Thursday and Friday. I've had more over the weekend, but just those 2 days. Let's just say I don't normally get that much attention for my work at the paper. And not to mention, the AP wrote an article about me. My mom alerted me to the fact that at one point, if you put my name plus the name of my paper and Googled it and then sorted by most recent, you would get through 3 pages on Google before you got to an article that wasn't about the paper closing. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it once AP got a hold of it, they sent it out and all their local papers all picked it up. And so it got to be a big story. Let's just say I'm not a fan of being in that much attention. I kind of like doing what I do in a small town, and for a reason, I like being in that small town. And but I do want to thank all those with Palazzo in our community that reached out made sure I was okay, asked what they could do. We have a pretty amazing group of viewers and listeners to our podcast. Not to mention, you go over to our Discord, there's a really great community there. And it was excellent to have kind of support coming around. Just like I said, my community was amazing, but from the baseball writing community to bounce around like that was really neat.
Thank you, baseball community. We appreciate you. Ben appreciates you.
So now we actually talk about baseball, because we've had a touchy-feely moment of the day. So we've had some fun debuts this week, and I'm really interested. Unfortunately, the pitching debuts less fun, but the player debut, the hitter debuts, Justin Dean with the Dodgers. And yes, this is going to turn into a little bit of a Braves thing, but it's because he is a former Brave that I know this guy is a holy crap good defender and like a 70 grade runner. This is your perfect fifth outfielder type of guy. And I mean, elite defender with an elite arm. So definitely could fill in some spots for them and has just a little bit of juice to the bat. He could go on a little streak and be really useful for them. Drew Gilbert, Mets traded him. Now that he's healthy, the Giants called him up, and he hasn't looked stupid at the plate anyway. There could be a lot worse. But the most important one for us, and actually I'll mention the other hitter of interest here before I mention the one that's really important to us, but Tristan Peters with Tampa Bay, I believe along the lines of Justin Dean, was also at one point a Gold Glover in the minor leagues in the outfield. So really good defender coming up for them. I don't know what his ceiling is at all offensively, but an interesting guy nonetheless. But the one that both Robbie and I are all sorts of excited about is Kyle Karros with the
absolutely
Colorado Rockies. And, he's actually acquitted himself pretty well so far. No home runs, but that's not really his game. He's a doubles guy that'll maybe hit you 20. But he's hitting the ball hard. He's gotten on base quite a bit, driven in some runs, scored some runs, and is playing a pretty decent third base. All the things you want out of a guy when you call him up. Yay.
Yeah, 364 average. He walked. Very exciting. Not that was going to be an issue, or no. I mean, of course, anything could still become an issue for 11. But at the moment, like, he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame if he keeps it up at this pace.
Well, I mean, of course,
but either way,
the old Kenny Mayne line, not in that, that gives him 11 hits. Well, not in this game. That would be a record. The old.
Yeah. So he's fun, and of course, like on a crappy team, you're happy to see that come up. And I had kind of said that it would be nice for him to be able to settle in rest of season at third base in AAA. But the move up, kind of, I'm looking at their roster right now. This isn't a roster that I'm ashamed of. This is a roster on the rise. Oldest starter is 27. And that's, I guess there's two, Brenton Doyle and Mickey Moniak, and Moniak, claimed off waivers this offseason. Their bench only has one player, Kyle Farmer, over 30, who was a free agent acquisition. Braxton Fulford might now be the actual backup catcher for them. I still would like to see something happen with Drew Romo's life so that he can regain what he once had. But we've seen catchers come up and, not make it and then not be able to just return to glory in the minors, as well as, other prospects who've come up, had a taste of it and haven't, resumed the quick and dirty demolition from their previous AAA time. So Karros, I'm excited about, but we'll save that for another one, Ben. We got lots to cover tonight. As excited as I am.
It's going to be a busy night, mainly because our next thing to talk about are promotions, the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of really big group promotions of big name prospects. The Mets and Milwaukee did some big moves this week. We're going to highlight, I'll kind of do a quick rundown. And Miami, you mentioned Miami too. Miami had a bunch of other guys move too. But Carson Bing of the Mets, the outfielder with the Mets, already up to AAA. This is his first year after being drafted. So that's a very good thing. You might, Mets folks might need to know that name for their 2026 lineup, which is certainly probably not something that they were thinking of coming into this year. So, Yiddy Cappy, you remember Yiddy Cappy with the Marlins?
I do.
People loved him, but he kind of hit just the skids for about 2 years in A-ball and just couldn't. I mean, he couldn't turn complex results into full season results. Well, he's been good this year. Not great, not going to be on the top 100 list, but he is making himself into what could be a productive major leaguer, and he is on his way to Double-A, as is our boy, big, long, tall, left-handed pitcher Alex Clemmie of the Washington Nationals. He is going up to Double-A. Ryan Clifford, he's another Mets guy that's coming up. One of the youngest guys in Double-A this year, and now is moving up to Triple-A already. That's impressive. Ryan Clifford has 20-something home runs. Lots of power here. And this guy, this is someone who could immediately impact that lineup for the Mets, which is, there's not a whole lot of those in the minors right now, let alone a whole lot of those in the Mets minors. Jacob Cozart, because we always need to talk about at least one catcher. Cleveland is going up to Double. And with the Mets shuffle of a bunch of guys up to AAA, AJ Ewing, who has kind of jumped on the scene this year, is now heading to Double-A. And we have a host of pitchers that are making some moves. Trevor Harrison in the Tampa Bay system, he's a righty. He's up to Double-A. Ben Hess, another right-handed pitcher with the Yankees, is up to Double-A. This one I really like. Dasan Hill, left-handed pitcher of the Twins. They're getting him up to High A for the rest of the season. There is some discussion within the Twins organization that they may take a look at how he finishes this season. And at a year removed as a high school pitcher, he might open next year in Double-A. That's impressive. Keep an eye.
Caden Dana like.
Well, yeah.
Sorry to rain on everyone's parade. Yeah.
Jesus Made and Luis Pena are both going up to High A for Milwaukee. That's two of their big guys down in Carolina, and they had some other guys get moved up as well. TJ Nichols is another right-handed pitcher with Tampa who's going up to Double-A. Abimelec Ortiz, you remember how big everyone was in on him last year? Like, he had something like 30 home runs last year.
I thought it was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he was the pop-up guy. Yeah.
That's right. It was 2 years ago, and then last year everyone kind of went, well, maybe all he is a power guy. No, he's actually shown he can get on base and he can hit for power, and he can actually play a little outfield, not just first base. And so he's going up to AAA, just one step away from the majors. And Ryan Sloan, right-handed pitcher. A lot of people loved Ryan Sloan coming out of last year's draft. He is going up to High A for Seattle. Recently acquired Sammy Stafura, shortstop. The Reds traded him to Pittsburgh during the deadline period. He is now going up to High A. Peyton Tolley is one of those guys with Boston that kind of jumped on the scene this year, left-handed pitcher. He is up to AAA. And then Jonah Tong, who we have a comment from Chad about, that Tong is up to AAA. He's wondering if that means Nolan McLean is coming up to the majors. I have no idea. I honestly don't. But I think Tong has shown there's nothing more for him to do in Double-A. He needed to get some time in AAA this year. So I think more than anything, trading away Blake Tidwell and and clearing a little space in that AAA pitching rotation with some of the guys who are on injury, rehab, and all that coming up. opened up some space for Tong to come up to AAA and be in the rotation. Ralphie Velazquez, he was a big-time prospect as a high school catcher that everyone knew was immediately going to move, and he just hasn't quite hit as much as everyone thought he would, but he is up to AA with Cleveland, so kind of good guy to track progress. Jet Williams is another one of the Mets that's going up to AAA. Really haven't figured out where he's playing. He's played a lot of short, he's played a lot of second, and he's played a lot of center this year. So up the middle, but not sure which one. And then finally, last but absolutely not least, Trey Savage is going to finish by going to, I believe it's 4th level this year. Am I wrong on that?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 levels this year for Trey Savage. I think the Jays made a really good pick here. I think they made a smart one, which, not all of their pitching draft picks work out. Let's just put it that way with the Toronto organization. But this one absolutely has so far.
For 13
so
months.
That's the end of our
from
debuts.
the draft. 13 months out of the draft, he is looking good. And I think it's 81.1 innings on the arm prior to this AAA. So this
has not been pushed hard or anything on the innings. So
it depends on what they're going to do with him at Buffalo. But if Toronto's competitive and they need it, it's possible, but I don't think we're going to see him as a 5th level. I don't think he's doing the once upon a time Dalton Pompey move. Pompey did, I forget if it was high up to MLB, and that was his peak. And then he kicked around some prospect lists for a while and things like that. But this is an excellent list that we've got here this week. Tong is a very highly sought after young guy. Clemmy, obviously Cape is kind of one of those sleeper ones. The other 3 guys that were with him, Colby Shade, Peyton Green, and Eric Rakchek were the other 3 Skycarp promoted up. So I just happened to catch that following the Skycarp feed, and I thought, oh, great. That's good to see they're moving up, which again, as we talked about before, is the result of the guys signing, and now the guys are going to start to get assigned. So it wouldn't be a prospect show if Uncle Ted didn't check in and say something about Cole Drake, which, he's got a new team. Uncle Ted, you missed out when we discussed it last week.
But I'm excited for him to have an ERA under 5. That'll be fun. Because right now that ain't what he has. So,
so Ben, you've got some leaked AFL names. If you want to bless the listeners with a few of them.
And it's basically it's kind of gotten around a little bit that it's the last number of years. It has absolutely been something where the White Sox tend to be the team that leads out with a big name first for AFL discussion. Last year, they were talking very early on that Grant Taylor and Colson Montgomery were going to be out there, and those are 2 big-time intrigue guys at the time. Already, it has leaked from a White Sox beat writer that the team is planning on sending Hagen Smith and Noah Schultz out there. So normally that's not a great place to see pitching, but boy, if those 2 are going to be there, that's absolutely a day you want to go watch the pitcher at the Arizona Fall League. So,
and I've got to say, I think Schultz's fantasy stock has taken a big hit this season, because I have a trade deadline for my second latest league. Our deadline is tonight at midnight or 11:59 p.m. And I offered out Noah Schultz and someone else of hype in exchange for, I think it's 3 more years of Robbie Ray, Augustin Ramirez, and some prospect and something else back. It was, to me, it was a little bit of an overpay, but understanding that I'm trying to win a league that will, then pay for my fantasy baseball for the next couple of years. And this guy came back with the flat out, no way. It was, I also included Ballesteros in that. And he wanted nothing to do with it. He's like, I don't like him. I don't like Ballesteros. I think Schultz was taking a huge step back, this and that. I said, yeah, like when your body's massive and you're growing, you do need to take time to adjust. You also have to look at the long game of Schultz's skill set, not the short-sightedness of Ramirez's immediate success. Whereas I'm trying to take a short-sighted look at what I could do, the next 8 weeks in this league or 7 weeks in this league. But yeah, it was interesting to Chad saying that isn't Noah Schultz's value being down. It is when somebody says they don't want your prospect because they don't think they're good anymore. That's the definition of being down. You would say he was really good a year ago. Right now, I can't get him for a streaking Robbie Ray, who like realistically is in. This is in an 8x8 league, and one prospect who's currently doing well, as well as trading another prospect who's been up with the Cubs. So that's without getting into other leagues where kind of gone back and forth trying to acquire him in a league. And if you have him, you're kind of wondering what his value is, or if you have him, you're wondering what his value is. He's definitely not a sell candidate right now. And if you're looking to acquire him, obviously you're looking to pay less. And this particular owner, who's not on a competitive team, but his team's not a dumpster fire, doesn't want to break up. Again, catchers, I don't understand why we're overvaluing catchers at this moment. So anyway, speaking of fun, exciting things, you said you've got White Sox leaks. So potentially those guys. Is there anybody else out there, Ben?
Those are the only ones I've seen from a source, a good source like that, like a team reporter type of a source. There's lots of other people that are throwing names out there that are going to head there. I have not seen that pop up from anyone. Usually, to me, if it's not the player themselves saying they're going to Arizona, the team reporter is the next guy that I want to trust, because there's a whole lot of Jim Bobs that happen to work in Montgomery and say, hey, the Tampa Bay is sending these 3 biscuits to Arizona. I don't know, maybe. There's a lot of times that folks have speculation, folks hear things, all sorts of goofy things. So yeah, anyway, it's those two would be really, really big names pitching wise to be down in the fall league for sure. Because quite frankly, those are two absolutely you would think are coming into 2026 with an opportunity to be in the White Sox rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. And if not to open the season, they would be up by one of those American holidays that you have where you celebrate the country and things. Ideally, not the July 4th.
We're turning 250 next year. Rah, rah.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Very nice. The American flag shorts are very fun and exciting when I see them. And then the bikinis on the ladies. Very nice. Speaking of exciting things, I'm going to get into the Jesus Take the Wheel pick for everybody out there who is as desperate as I am for something here, lining up some arms down your stretch. Even if you are needing to win out to even get in your playoffs, or if you're rotoing the rest of the way, I've got some options for you. And I'm going to recap here. Brad Lord had a very good start with Washington yesterday. Even though he's no longer part of the he's in the family, the Jesus Take the Wheel family. He is not under this current spotlight. Patrick Corbin did not do well in his final 2 takes to the bump for me. He had a couple of dumps, 3 innings, 3 Ks, and then he had a 4 1/3 inning with a loss. Cade Povich, who was my guy last week, so his 2 starts, impressive. Now, we discussed the fact that we did the show a day late, so I did count him, despite the fact that you would have needed to pick him up basically before we started recording. So we'll extend it, but 5 2/3, 7 Ks and a loss last week. Then exactly a week ago. Then on Sunday night, 6 innings pitched, quality start, 5 Ks, and the ERA for fantasy purposes, I'm stating that 1.5. So he next goes up against Houston. But the guy that you're going to want to pick up now, and I believe he's starting tonight, I don't think this was tomorrow, is Taijuan Walker. And the reason I'm stating Walker is obviously Philly's making a push. He's in the rotation. They've made the adjustments that he should be staying in that rotation. And on Yahoo, which is a site that they will stream the hell out of anybody, he's only 11% rostered right now. So he's out there. He's going to be going up against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Then he's taking on Washington at home. And it's either going to be a final, because for the Jesus Take the Wheel, we take 3 starts. He's either going to be against Seattle or again against Washington, depending on how things stack up for him. So it is a good stretch for Walker. And this is very much like when Stroman gets right, which this is historic. This isn't current. People just don't care what the results are going to be. They're not going to be happy with with whatever it is that Walker does. And Walker can get on a stretch here. So perhaps that's what, we're going to see here. That's certainly what I'm banking on with our Jesus Take the Wheel pick. So that's what we're going with this week. And the main topic here, Ben, we're able to get to in just 25 minutes. It's like we skipped right through everything else. And that's the 2025 draft recap. Now, do we want to have one of our fun, exciting ads before we jump into this bad boy?
You probably should. Let me give it. You can vamp for like 2 seconds and I'll find one here real fast.
Sure. I can tell everybody that I bought a truck on Sunday, which was yesterday. It is a 1999 Chevrolet S10 Extreme. So if you think of what would a truck look like if it was in Fast and the Furious, that's what I bought. It's small, it's mighty, it's got some horsies. And I also 2 weeks ago bought the exact same version of it in a manual. And I'm thinking I might be fun and exciting and switch it to a manual. But that's Truck Talk. That's another podcast that doesn't yet exist, but I'm sure you all want it to.
Tom, can I make a suggestion?
You're fired!
Welcome to eternity.
Flowers grow low, then they die. Rivers flow low, then run dry.
Heaven.
But a kiss is a kiss for all time.
Wait a minute. Where am I?
Got milk?
Nice. Do you know how old that one is? Like, would you say that's 25 years old?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the same age as my new truck.
I seem to remember that one. And good Lord, does that one go to a serious place in a real hurry?
Yeah. It took a turn. In Canada, we had a lot of the Dairy Council ones. They got hockey players, and one of the famous ones from the 90s was hockey star at the time, Dougie Gilmore, with cow legs. So you know how there's like those yoga pants?
Yeah.
It was the same. It was like pre-yoga pants, but they were cow legs, and he did ads in them, and it was like a thing, and he's a manly man, but he pulled it off. So that was the American version, I guess, over there of going to hell. You don't have milk. All right. Yeah. That checks out.
Hey, I mean, for part of it, he's going through, those are called cartons, Robbie. I know you're using bags for your.
You want me to go get a bag of milk? There, it's right behind me. I got a bag of milk right behind me. And I've got chocolate milk in a carton.
Yeah, there you go. So our draft recap, we've gone through the signing deadline, so it's now official. If a guy hasn't been signed at this point, he's not getting signed. But one of the things that is always interesting, and with the new draft structure and the slots and all that, we have had, I want to say it's 2 years out of the last 5 where every pick in the top 10 signed. It is very, very rare to have any picks in the top 10 rounds not signed. So you're talking, 350-ish players when you get into all the comp picks and all those sorts of extra picks. So we had 2 who did not sign in the first 10 rounds this year. Both high school guys, and one, Angel Cervantes, very highly thought of, one of the youngest pitchers in the entire class, ended up drafted in the second round by Pittsburgh, but instead chose to go to college. And I did not do my research to look up where these guys went to college. So, but then the other one was Mason Ligenza, Ligenza, also a high schooler, but plays the outfield and was drafted in the 6th round by the Dodgers. And so we might talk about real quickly a guy who might have gotten some of that money that was meant for Legenza.
Yeah, it goes right into the next one. So, and just so everyone's aware, if there was a record for something to do with money, it was all broken during the draft. Highest signing bonus for a high schooler, holiday, highest amount paid ever. Everything was broken, right? Every round, someone got paid more than they ever had in that round before. Blah blah blah. But we also had a couple guys who did not get drafted who signed, and the Dodgers, as Ben alluded to, were one of them. They had some money left over from a 6th-round pick who did not sign. Well, they signed themselves high schooler right-handed pitcher Tommy Case for $422,000. Not bad for not being drafted. And the second highest, I guess this is the only record that wasn't broken, Trace Phillips, a pitcher who had a bunch of injuries this year. Lower back was one of them, and I think I can't remember if it was like broken fingers or something within the hand injury.
Lots
regardless,
injury.
he only made, I think, 6 starts this year. But Tampa Bay, so if you want to think of Jake Magnum as the guy that undrafted that we're all experiencing this year, Trace Phillips signed with Tampa Bay for $629K, and we know Tampa Bay historically finds a way to create, recruit talent, whatever. This might be one of the new things that's now kind of being exposed, that they're willing to open the pocketbook up for undrafted players who clearly they see with ceiling. And Phillips we'll get into when we talk about teams who did draft good. But Ben, there were also some guys who we weren't sure if they were going to sign, and they did in fact sign, but it was late. So do you want to enlighten everyone on those names?
So we're going to get into this a little more, but Milwaukee had a bunch of them. In fact, I kind of figured I did this from the 15th round or after the 15th round. So if you were in the 16th round or beyond and got paid, I kind of figured at least 75 grand more than what you were set to, or more than 75 grand. So you needed to be
newsworthy.
More than 2.25 is really what it is, because 150 is the slot. So Milwaukee had four of those guys in the last 5 rounds. So that's pretty impressive that you get 4 out of your last 5 picks and you're paying them big money and you got them all to sign. That's the really impressive part. So let's go down some other ones here. And I have these by they're alphabetical. So,
fancy.
So yeah, I realized after I did them alphabetical that maybe it would have been smarter to do it by round, but oh well,
that's all right.
It will be. Landon Arroyo's high school shortstop, actually signed by Houston, which is a really rare thing for them to go big after a high school kid. $252,000 in the 18th round. So that's a pretty decent commitment to him. But in that same round, Grayson Bowles, a high school right-handed pitcher, was signed by Kansas City, who is that one kind of blew me away. Kansas City usually never spends this kind of money in the second half of the draft, and if they like the 11th round, and that's it. But they spent $500,000 to sign Bowles in the 18th round. Logan Dawson is a high school shortstop. The Phillies drafted him in the 16th round and paid him $242,000. Well, technically $242.5 thousand.
Right. That was the sticking point.
Yeah, there we go. Noah Franklin was a high school catcher, because we always, need to definitely
need more of
emphasize
those.
that market.
We really need to get more high school catchers drafted.
I mean, if there is no matter what your feelings on catchers are, I highly doubt you'll find even people who love catchers who are really pro high school catcher in the draft. But Noah Franklin is a high school catcher that signed with the Rangers after being drafted in the 17th round for $275,000. Carter Gwost, Gwost, high school outfielder, was taken by the Pirates in the 17th round, and very likely they might have transitioned some of the money they intended to give to Cervantes to Gwost, because he got $497,500 in the 17th round. So pretty sizable commitment. But that's the exact same bonus that Sam Horn, who is the only college player we're going to talk about here, but he is one of those guys who was a draft eligible sophomore, so he had some leverage to play with. And the Dodgers drafted him in the 17th round and paid him the same as what Gwost got, $497,500. And finally,
probably have the same age.
20th could be a 20th round pick, Jamorian McQueen, which I gotta say, if this is Steve's son, anyway, high school outfielder. No, Steve McQueen. No, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got it.
I was gonna say it's just not funny. Is that what you're saying?
That's a joke for the truck podcast. I mean, movie podcast. That's Cinema 9. That's a Cinema 9 joke.
There we go. But the Rangers drafted McQueen out of high school. He's an outfielder. Got him in the 20th round and paid him $280,000. That's when I think next year we're going to be talking about when we review the 25 draft in 26. Okay. Because that's one of those that it's always intriguing to see who got paid a little more than they're supposed to. And especially when they're a 20th round guy, you kind of want to follow how that guy's going to do the next year. So our next group, and there are some of these going on, Robbie. First year player drafts have already started hot and heavy around. And there are a few guys that were drafted in the first, I kind of put a limit as the first 5 rounds, but the first 5 rounds that I thought you might want to be paying attention to. Let's say if you're in like a 15-team dynasty, these are guys you might want to make sure you have at least an eye on in the first 2 rounds of your draft, which normally they wouldn't. Normally they wouldn't qualify. Now, we could get one hell of an international signing group, and that's not going to matter a bit. But for right now, just looking at the draft, these are guys of interest. And, of course, I did these alphabetically, too. So, there you go. Because apparently I'm all about – when I have – folks, I didn't have to go to work today. So I had nothing but time on my hands. So apparently that brings out the OCD in Benjamin Chase. All right. So – Vahiva Aloy, which is something, by the way, thank you to a Palazzo listener who reached out to us when we did our mock draft to let us know how to pronounce that first name. I
was just going to say, great job on that one. Wow.
He was the Golden Spikes winner, and he's from Hawaii originally, but went to Arkansas, won the Golden Spikes. Excellent offensive profile. But he's going to fit somewhere on the infield, and you don't know where yet. And so he ended up falling to Baltimore as a first-round comp pick. And I think the offensive tools are such that fantasy owners will absolutely want it, because if he's second base, if he's third base, if he's shortstop, he's going to hit. And so that's going to play a little better, and certainly going to play better. One thing you'll notice on all of these that I bring up, there is not one single pitcher in here. Yes, if you want to take a risk on a pitcher and jump him up in rounds, great. Go right ahead. I ain't going to do that. Not in an FYPD.
I was just going to say, Ben, typically in first-year player draft formats, the only way pitchers are jumping is if the person or persons drafting really want to jump the gun on pitchers. Typically, people like to have a pitcher fall back to them a little bit later than they expected. So, and that's, of course, outside the Yamamoto and Skeens of 2 years ago in that draft class where they were
Chase
1-2.
Burns this last year.
So,
Chase Burns was a guy that, but, there was a lot of folks that were talking Burns versus Hagen Smith. Mm-hmm. I personally didn't think Hagen Smith deserved to be in that same conversation. I felt like Burns was someone that you might be able to give me an argument why he should jump into the top 3 of the FYPD last year, but not Hagen Smith. And I don't know if any of our college pitchers this year are Chase Burns. That's the thing. Right. So we're likely talking back half of the first round for your first pitcher to come off the board. So that's where guys like these can actually sneak in. Max Bellew.
Sure, yeah.
Colorado
Bellieu.
Colorado Rockies drafted him as a competitive balance pick after the second round. This is a very similar profile to, is it Jared Thomas that they took last year? He is a kind of a contact and doubles guy. He's not going to hit you 30 home runs. But my gosh, with his defense, and if he has that profile and he gets up to Colorado where the ball can travel in a gap for days, he might have a pretty darn good bat there. So it's a good combination of profile plus team there. Mason Neville was very highly considered. There's a lot of people who thought he might go at the back end of the first round, and he fell to Cincinnati in the fourth round. Not a huge fan of their development system, so I am not 100% sure that I like him all the way there. But man, if he gets to the majors, his skill set is going to look really good in Great American Ballpark. The A's happen to grab two of the better offensive profiles in this year's draft. Devin Taylor, who is a monster power hitter, somehow fell to them in the second round. I had him, I think in our mock draft that we did, I think I took him like pick number 20 or something like that. Every time I kind of looked and tried to do a mock, that was kind of where he had power that was not available anywhere else in this draft. And so they got a really good one there as far as power. And then Gavin Turley, who was probably your best 5-tool potential guy coming into the year, dealt with some injuries and stuff. And so his numbers weren't what we kind of expected this year. So he dropped to the fourth round. Two college outfielders that I bet you move pretty darn quick in that system this year. And then finally, last but not least, Quentin Young, who is related to Delman Young, is related to a lot of the Young family. It's a cousin, not a brother, but still. He is a man amongst boys. For a high school draftee, he's 6'6", and I think he's already 2 1/4 is what he's listed. That boy's going to be about a 240, 250 once he – and I mean, he is like lean at 2 1/4 right now. He's going to fill into a big, bulky guy because he has got some shoulders and hips on him. He's not going to play shortstop. He was a shortstop in high school. All the best athletes are. This is a guy who likely is either third base or corner outfield. But the bat is going to be something impressive, and I bet you that's someone you want to pay attention to probably starting about mid-second round in your FYPD. So
okay. Ben, I went back in, I looked at where these guys were. So if on our draft here, so if you give me the name, I can tell you where we picked them. So Cervantes, who did not sign, you had going to the Marlins 43rd. That's one name here of note.
Aloy.
Aloy, I had picked Aloy 20th to the Brewers.
I don't think we had Bellew or Neville go in our draft.
Bellew, you picked 21st to the Astros.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that would actually make a lot of sense. That's kind of an Astros profile. So,
was there a Curley? Did you say Dean Curley?
Gavin Turley.
Oh, I was so close.
Similar, but
yeah. Turley,
Devin Taylor
did not.
Devin Taylor, he was probably, I want to say
Devin Taylor was
in the
28th. Yeah, you put him to the Royals at 28.
And then Quentin Young, did we get him in the first round?
Quentin Young, going the wrong way on this.
He was kind of one of those high schoolers that was fringe all the way through just because of his where's he going to play. But offensive skills are obvious, but he's a big boy. So this is going to take some time to develop. But for fantasy owners, those are names you want to know more than where they were drafted. If you're just looking at the first round, you're going to miss those guys.
There you go. And of course, now we're going to start to see these guys reporting and getting at bats where they are. That's why we had so many promotions at the lower levels. We will see what comes.
And if you're familiar with the term tricky league, that is the league that is essentially used to be what known as fall instructionals, but now because they end the complex league so early, they actually play games at the complexes. but they're not official. So
Gotcha.
essentially what a lot of that is your high school draftees. Like Billy Carlson is the headliner for the White Sox Tricky League team. And
What
those
about
guys
Sam
will be-
Carlson? Remember Sam Carlson?
I do, because he was a Minnesota boy. I really wanted to see him do well.
So did I. Injuries, baby.
Yeah.
Never the same.
Pitchers and injuries, huh?
Yeah.
It's a thing. But no, that's where a lot of your high schoolers and the guys who excelled in the DSL this year are going to be, is in that league. But almost all of your college guys, in fact, again, I'm not putting those guys into our promotions thing right now because there are a ton of them going from complex to A ball right now, or complex to A plus ball, or something like that. I'm not putting those in there right now.
Right. Yep. And there's a time and a place to get all those guys, and that's called October, or whenever we come back from our break and have all of the stats lined up to dig into the offseason. So, Ben, we've got, I guess, one more thing to kind of cover here, and that's the teams who we just think had good draft classes for whatever reason. Milwaukee, I think, is our obvious one. We like their style. It suits us for people who love prospects, also just for fantasy and for potential value, whether it's guys to scout for a year or two or guys to draft in leagues where you may have 50 minor spots, something like that. So Ben had alluded earlier to the Milwaukee guys themselves. Let me just make sure I'm time stamping, right, guys? Got to do that. 4630, can't upset the boss. But yeah, so Milwaukee had four guys of note. In the 11th round, CJ Hughes got shortstop high schooler, got $700,000. So that's just an automatic watch.
I love the CJ Hughes pick. That was that. Yeah, I think I had him as a potential. I was looking at him as a potential guy that could go in the back half, like in the comp picks, first round comp picks, is like that type of a number of shortstops were kind of similar. California shortstop, a lot of attention on him. You know, who knows where he might end up. Yeah, I love this pick, and that's absolutely the thing I love there. I was just pulling this up. He's a switch hitter, and he's 6. I think I've seen where he's 6'2", but it says 6'1" on Baseball Reference. I'm not going to debate him. Okay. But the fact that they have him listed as 155 is freaking accurate. This kid has a lot of room to grow, and it's going to be fun to see how he fills into his frame over the next couple of years. And 17 until September 9th. This is a really young kid, too. So, yeah. Robbie, that's you're right, not in your murder room.
That's
welcome,
right,
Brent. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. I made a special. I've got some company downstairs in there, and I thought they might be a little loud, so I just came upstairs. In the 17th round,
you got to let them drain out, right? No,
that's right. Yes. It's the gurgles, the throat gurgles. Anyway, 17th round. The Brewers were killing it again, to use a term that's very familiar in my house. Slitting throats. Luke Rope. Signed for $225,000. The 19th round, as I'd mentioned before, about records being set. They set a record for a signing bonus with right-handed pitcher Chase Bentley, and the signing bonus was $757,000 for a high school arm. Good stuff, man. We saw what was it, Tyler Renz last year, I think 18th round, something like that, got a bunch of money. They're cool with it. This is their system. This works for them. And then in the 20th round for $410,000. I don't know if this was also a record, but that's a lot of money for a last round pick. Mikhail Holden, M-A' Holden. That is another right-handed pitcher that they signed there. Ben, I also liked Tampa Bay, but realistically, I liked them just because, like Milwaukee, they did something outside of the norm. And generally speaking, I'm not a fan of how Tampa drafts or develops, I should say. They make good trades, and that's why their team has good young players at times. They also are okay when they're, DSL guys are doing shady business. But anyway, they signed Trace Phillips, who we did mention before, 97 fastball on him, solid slider. We didn't get to see what it truly is this year. I had seen reports that it is a plus pitch. This is the slider specifically. But the fact that he had hand injuries and the lower back, we need to see what he can be as a pro. But it's a fun thing that they did. I thought some teams did, went conservative routes. I was trying to look up here. We did talk initially about Colorado, and I don't want to go too deep off just as like the, fan idea of it. No different than every hitter could be good in Cincinnati. Every hitter could be good in Colorado. Making picks that make sense for your organization. Are there any teams that kind of stood out to you as, that's what I expected, or anyone who maybe did buck their own trend? You mentioned Kansas City signing a guy later.
Yep. Well, and one that is interesting to me as an overall draft, and we'll see how it goes out for them, is the Orioles had a whole bunch of picks, and I kind of thought that they might take advantage of the fact that this year's high school crop was pretty darn deep. And they did, kind of. But early on, they went hardcore for college kids. Ike Irish, who I'm almost certain they're not going to keep as a catcher because they picked Caden Bodine right behind him. And Caden Bodine is an excellent defensive catcher. We mentioned Vahiva Loy, also picked by them. Slater DeBrun, who a lot of people mocked into the first round, was picked by them in the comp round. That was kind of their high school pick. But then they went back and they got a college lefty from Michigan State, a college righty from Georgia, got R.J. Austin, an outfielder with Vanderbilt. I really like him I think he's maybe an organizational outfielder in the end, kind of one of those guys that gets to AAA and kind of turns into a quad A guy, but you need those kind of guys to fill out your system. And they came out of, if you go by MLB Pipeline's draft rankings, they left the 6th round with 9 guys out of 10 picks who were in the top 150 for MLB Pipeline.
Jeez.
That's a really solid return. So I would be impressed. I'm interested to follow that class as they work their way up. I love this question from Brenton because I have seen this. I think Chad brought up earlier how quick he's moving, that he could potentially have some impact in the into their fall postseason bullpen. I have heard
they didn't just shore it up. I would think that would same with Manoah. I would have thought both those guys could be. But you know who next man up is, Britton? Shane Bieber. Yeah, that's the next man up, which is why
really is.
Toronto is like, he's rehabbed twice there at AAA already with Buffalo. He's next man up, and that is a beautiful thing. And they could also just throw Easton Lucas to the Wolves again if they really needed to. I don't know if they want to do that with you, Savage, but maybe they do. Maybe they're thinking, hey, we're overachieving and now we're just achieving. Let's keep rolling. To me, it's worth starting the clock for a player like this if it means you can, do some damage. But they are a very pitcher heavy team. So starting pitching, now they've added all that bullpen depth. If they're healthy, he won't or should not come up unless they're going to throw him in the bullpen, which I don't know why you would do that to him. Let him keep pitching at Buffalo. It's been a hell of a year for him.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention a couple of the Rays I forgot here, Ben, when you're done. So once you're done with, groping the Orioles.
There's one other, I'm done with the Orioles, but one other team who I think they had a really interesting draft strategy, but then in the end made a pick that I really enjoy. We talked about already. Angel Cervantes did not sign with the Pirates. They went really targeting guys that to me didn't make a lot of sense for their team. They were kind of odd fits for their team. But one that I really think could move through that organization in a hurry, Jared Jones, first baseman from LSU. They got him in the 9th round. He reminds me a ton right now of Tommy White coming out of LSU last year. And a lot of people doubting how that bat was going to translate, all sorts of things. And Tommy White's doing just fine. Not just that, but Tommy White's also handling third base just fine. there's a lot of folks who kind of thought Jared Jones is a DH only sort of guy. And how high do you want to draft a guy who's probably, if he does everything well, this might be a, like, not the same stature, but a Richie Sexton type of output. You know, a questionable average, but a whole crap ton of home runs and strikeouts, you know.
Well, Ben, in 6 at-bats, he already has his first pro home run.
There you go. And I would be intrigued.
4 strikeouts in 6 at-bats.
Well, this is true. But that's the other side.
Okay.
Like I said, it's
okay.
Power and strikeouts. And who is really going to block him in that system at first base? So if he can take off, he can move very fast in that system. So he's one who I'm interested in. I'm not going to be picking him in an FYPD, but you know, those little, you can put the little star and put the, you know, watch.
Yeah, the watch. Yeah.
On guys on Fantrax. That's one who I'm going to have on that list, because every so often I like to pull up that list and take a look through the stats on how each of those guys are doing, because I saw something in them in the off season that made me put them on that list. So,
yeah, and it's always fun when you go and check those out and you're like, why did I like that guy? When you look and they've got a 5.5 ERA. You're like, what was it about it? And then you got to like dive a little deeper. Like, what? Oh, it was a pitch that they were using. Okay, they must have stopped.
or if it's a dynasty league and you haven't checked or gone through it cold that list in like 2 years, and it's like, oh, this guy's on his 3rd DFA since this. Maybe I should take him off of here.
Yeah, that's true. So just to quickly go through, I did want to note about the Rays doing things out of the ordinary. I forgot to mention. So one of the things I thought was fun was that they traded one of the few picks that you're allowed to trade when they acquired Brian Baker, a bullpen arm for them.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away money and did other things. But they got Daniel Pierce in the system now. They've got Brendan Summerhill, who was a supplemental first-round pick.
I really like that pick.
Yeah, Cooper Fleming was another one, and then not that I care about the catcher, but like they've got a catcher, Taten Gray. Yeah,
Taten Gray from Iowa. He's a good
okay.
Corn-fed Midwestern boy. So
yeah, and truth be told, I honestly do like how the Rockies drafted. Of course, I thought it was fun that they were able to get the legacy type pick, if you want to call it that, with Ethan Holiday.
Yeah.
But Max Bilyeu, who we did mention, he also went there.
I love Middleton. I don't know if Middleton works at all in Colorado, but I love JB Middleton as a pitcher.
Well, that's the problem with Colorado, right? You can like what they do, but no matter how or who the pitcher is, what type of pitcher they are, they have to overcome a horrible obstacle that is Coors.
Yeah.
And then there was a college bat that they got that I can't remember in the top 10 rounds right now, but it doesn't matter. I'll find them, and when we do a deep dive later on, I'll be able to let you know who it is. So
Ethan Hedges.
Didn't think it was Hedges,
but Tanner Thatch.
I think Thatch. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say those are two that I kind of was looking at, and I thought, oh, that's kind of a fun fit with Colorado. Both of those guys. I think Hedges was 3rd or 4th round. Thatch was, I think, like more like
he was later, but I don't remember how. I just know top 10,
like in the first 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that those guys those teams, I should say, did a good job. And again, we'll get the rest of season stats as these guys are now starting to accumulate them. So I know, Britton, it hurts me more than it hurts anyone else to discuss catchers. I don't like to even give them their due if I think it's deserved. So, but anyway, that is wrapping up the draft a month out. So what was that? What happened to my sleeves?
Oh, yeah.
Truck talk, baby. They fell off when I was. You missed the first part of the podcast where we were talking trucks. But anyway, yeah. So that's it for draft recap. Ben, we're gonna keep this under 1 hour. Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
I
it's
cannot
amazing.
believe it.
So thank you all
week,
for tuning in.
Yeah, next week we have the potential of some DSL and complex league and A-ball stat guys that we might talk about. My son does have surgery next week on Monday, so we might have to reschedule that, or Ben might have a guest or somebody else come on, or maybe Govier will come back. We'll see. The ghost of Mike Govier may return to this here Prospects Power Hour. We shall see. But anyway, on behalf of myself, been the Palazzo podcast family. We thank you all. Love, peace, hair grease. Click subscribe, like, and share.